Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from Mouseville, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, mild-mannered factory worker by day and superhero by night, my co-host, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, Sean?
David, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I think you might want to check with your supervisor in the factory there. There's something weird has happened to your voice. Like an asbestos thing or something?
Yeah, I don't know. David,
Nice.
I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
There you go. That sounds a lot better. I was worried there for a second.
No, it's okay.
You're back to mild-mannered, Sean.
Woo! Yeah, I gotta check with my supervisor in the factory, make sure that she's all cool with me maybe taking a half day, get a sick day in, recoup this voice a little bit, you know.
For podcast stuff.
Yeah, for podcast stuff.
Not for superhero stuff.
Or like regular everyday talking.
Oh yeah, also that for like communication and stuff.
I don't need a voice for that. I'm good. I should probably check with my supervisor, who happens to be sitting right here next to me.
Oh, what a plus.
Yeah, I know. Please welcome the wonderful, the talented, the lovely Ms. Melanie Harker.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Sean. You can't have a half day.
Damn it.
Take that.
We got a lot of factorying to do.
Yeah, we're behind on our factorying. We need to pick it up.
Let's get this moving.
Deep sigh.
Oh boy.
My suggestion would be to play that factory theme just constantly, 24 hours.
Working girl?
Just play that over and over again.
Yeah.
That'll really get his yeah.
Nailed
it. That'll get his efficiency up.
That really, when I hear that song, I really want to get to work.
Yeah, in like a weird rhythmic fashion. Like not too fast,
Right.
not too slow, but just like a nice industrial pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a lot of horns just blaring in the background for no reason really.
Every perpetual motion machine you've ever known in your life is just compounded, and that's how it runs.
Yeah,
Forever.
and weirdly enough, they all just line up at that exact tempo.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Mysteries of the universe. Yeah.
I'm going to point out the real quick fact. Like, I'm the only employee that's working at this factory.
Yeah, you are.
It's
I don't know
a
what the
little-
factory is 100%. I just know that you're the only one that works there, other than Mel, who supervises your work.
Oh, I don't work. I supervise.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just really efficient, so
Oof. It's like
how will I ever do it without you?
Factory would shut down.
Don't shut down the factory.
Whatever this factory is.
Oh, don't worry. I will be here to work and continue to keep up this factory's good name.
Well, look, if Sean ever actually, has to retire or just dies due to exhaustion,
Probably gonna die.
due to
Probably
working
gonna die.
24 hours a day, you can just enslave a race of super strong mice to work in your factory. I think you'd do
Oh, I
that.
was just gonna go to an orphanage
Or that.
and just pick out whichever lamest one I can find and just stick them on the job.
You're not going to test them to see which ones are strongest? I mean, that's my go-to orphanage plan. Just, just
So
boilerplate
efficient.
orphanage plan. Test their weaknesses.
Now, let me ask you, Dave.
Yeah.
Is this going to be something? Does your orphanage plan entail the following idea where you look for one particular orphan that happens to have a red tuft of hair that's sticking out, and you're just like, that, I'm going to get that ginger orphan, and I'm going to get him to work at my thing?
Yeah, pretty much Ginger Orphan is a little on the checklist.
Okay.
Yeah. I need him to
All right.
work alongside strong, supersized mouse creature to work. We have very specific designs on this factory. I don't know if it's going to work, but I feel like it worked for the show we're going to talk about tonight. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're clearly talking about Mighty Mouse, and specifically Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures, which was an 80s kind of revisit to the classic hero. So now that all our shenanigans are done, Sean, why don't you take us through the history of this show?
Sure thing. So, Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures is a 1987 revival of the Mighty Mouse cartoon character, produced by Bakshi Hyde Ventures, a joint ventures of animator Ralph Bakshi and producer John W. Hyde, and Terry Toons. It aired on CBS on Saturday mornings from fall of 1987 through the 1988 and 89 season. It was briefly rerun on Saturday mornings on Fox Kids in November of 1992. The show was considered revolutionary at the time and inspired a wave of animated shows that were much zanier. It is credited by some as being the impetus for the creator-driven animation revolution of the 1990s, and was a huge springboard for many cartoonists and animators who would later become famous. Among them, John Craig Falusi, Bruce Timm, Jim Reardon, Tom Minton, Lynn Naylor, Rich Moore, and Andrew Stanton.
Yeah, and a lot of those names should be familiar to you guys. We've talked about John Kricfalusi in the past. Bruce Timm obviously has a huge influence on the Warner Brothers animated universe. Andrew Stanton was one of the main guys over at Pixar, so there's just a few that stand out. But I mean, it was interesting watching this show and then knowing that ahead of time and then kind of looking back at the 90s series that some of these people worked on and definitely seeing their influences, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Right.
Before I get to the synopsis, though, I just want to ask Mel, so you actually brought this one to our attention. So can you just give us kind of the reason behind you wanting to watch this show tonight?
So here's what's crazy is that until I read the Wikipedia article, which I did to remind myself what the name of the series was to go look for it on YouTube, I was like, did I just happen upon this in 1992 in November? Because otherwise I wasn't like around for it in the beginning, which is really weird. But I have the exact episode that we are talking about and one other one on a VHS collection at home that my mom hand recorded for me when I was a child, and I would watch ad nauseum, like forever. And there's like one particular scene which we'll talk about in the second part of the episode that we watched today, which I could close my eyes and basically tell you exactly what happens in that scene over and over and over again because I just remember it so vividly. And I think there's something about like the zaniness of the characters that has influenced me as a performer, and like I trace it back to watching Mighty Mouse and like loving the shit out of it. So, and the theme song's pretty catchy, so there's that too.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that too. Oh, just a tip for listeners out there who maybe don't know what VHS is. It was basically a plastic rectangle that used magnets to record things.
Magnets, you say?
Magnets. That's right.
But I think this was on like a VHS with like an episode of Animaniacs as well, and
wow.
Muppet Babies.
Oh, because she recorded it, so it was like a blank one that she just
it was
recorded.
just, yeah.
I love when you said hand recorded because I pictured her there just like with a crank, just slowly like cranking the tape around the sprockets as the thing was on TV. That's how it worked, right?
Yeah.
Now, for some reason, I had the idea of her with like a chisel.
Oh.
Like over top of the actual like black pulled
tape.
out magnetic tape and then just like stamping little things into it. And I was like, wow, way to go.
Shout out to my mom. She is a VHS artisan.
So kids, appreciate all your digital media you have out there because you used to have to hand chisel these VHS tapes.
Yeah, right?
Nightmare.
Oof.
Nightmare. Speaking of nightmare, here's what this show was actually about. So it's Mighty Mouse, and if you're not familiar with the character, then there's not a whole lot I can do for you. It's basically like if Mickey Mouse was a superhero. We'll boil it down to that. Completely different animation studio and different creation, but if like Mickey Mouse was a superhero instead of just kind of like this goofy Disney character. Anyway, so Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures, humorous, satirical adventures in a short-lived Saturday morning cartoon by Ralph Bakshi. Unlike other American animated TV shows of the time, and previous shorts from Mighty Mouse himself, this show's format was loose, and the episodes did not follow a particular formula. Instead, the episodes varied from superhero-type stories to parodies of TV shows, movies, comic books, and other cartoons. So it was more of just kind of like an adventure show, but that actually had a second layer of sort of parodies or satire or just kind of like this meta-awareness of everything else in pop culture that was going on. I don't know if you can really say that for the episode that we watched tonight. Maybe a little bit for the second one. And I guess a little bit for the first one too, just not anything like it didn't riff a specific movie or a specific cartoon. Just some more cultural stuff, which we'll get into.
But I'm really hoping and fingers crossed that one day I sit down and I watch an old movie that's about a bunch of glubs living in a Club Miami in somewhere in Tibet, and I'm just like, oh my god, I know where this came from.
Now I get the reference.
I figured it out.
Go ahead, Mel.
Problem solved, guys.
How many fingers did you have crossed? Was it 4 or 5?
I thought it was.
I
thought he had 4. Didn't he have 4?
He had 4.
We can talk. I'm saying Sean. How many fingers did you cross?
I crossed all of them.
Okay.
Oh, Sean crossed all 5 fingers.
Yeah.
Into a 5-fingered death punch. All right, so.
Oh Jesus.
Let's. I would love for them to do our theme song. That'd be amazing. And speaking of theme songs, let's talk about tonight's. So, Sean, what was your take on this theme song for Mighty Mouse: The New Adventure?
I hate the fact that the song is so much of an earworm.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It really is, and it's done in completely a cappella. From sort of like the trumpeting, like boom, 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 like coming in and stuff like that. And it's such an easy listen, and it's so fun, and the lyrics are very simple. But I the idea that I have for this that is so much fun is that we've watched a lot of cartoons, obviously, over the last 2 years, and we have some times where like the cartoon really doesn't sort of the intro of this theme song. I felt like it told a fun story. Kind of it set an expectation again about what to expect from Mighty Mouse and sort of how valiant of a character he is and what he would be doing. And it just was kind of fun. And we had sort of like a smash up of like all different clips and stuff. So I guess this was a hybrid kind of theme song where, we had a lot of like stock footage from episodes, but we had this original theme song. And I guess after maybe 5 weeks of nothing but Transformers, this felt like a breath of fucking fresh air to suddenly have something that didn't have a robot voice in the background. It didn't have like a weird heavy synth track in it. It was just good old fashioned barbershop quartet just laying down some pipes, and like it was fun. And I can't stop singing it around the house or coming up with new and dumber lyrics for it. I mean, like I'm really embarrassing myself the more I sing this out loud, but it's so enjoyable and it's so catchy and fun to do with this song. And I think we've talked about this theme song, and I think you both have had some really good input on it, and so I enjoyed it immensely. I kind of want to turn it over to the both of you because you guys had some great insight on this as well.
Well, look, all I want to say is I would love to see like an oompa polka version of Transformers if they ever decide to go that route. But Mel, what was your take on it? Because you mentioned this at your intro for why you wanted to watch the show too. So.
Well, I think actually what Sean just said really hit it on the head is that, now you hear a lot of very heavily mixed, electronicized theme songs for stuff, which like I love. I have a soft spot in my heart for that. But then, I think I grew up with where my grandparents really loved whenever they would come over watching Merry Melodies animations with me. And there's something like about appreciating when a theme song has its own musicality that is its own, it's a genre that you can pinpoint and that you can appreciate, and you're like, this guy is a really good singer, and this is an a cappella group that has synced up and can clearly execute this, which is hilarious contrasted to the other sort of like zingers and beats that are in the show itself, which is all extraordinarily off-key trombone trumpet-ness, whatever the fuck's going on.
Hitting real sour notes.
Purposefully, though. That's what I liked, was the sort of the mini intro of each, because each episode is split up into two different smaller segments, so two different like mini chapters within each episode. And at the intro of those segments, there's like a mini theme song, but it's like really sour notes, and I love that because it's just kind of wonky and funny.
Well, it's fun to contrast that against the on pointness of the theme song. Everything's ness.
On pointness.
All the ness, all the je ne sais quoi.
It is full of the je ne sais quoi.
Oui.
No, I liked it too. I thought it was kind of a traditional throwback to the old cartoon style, but also with kind of like a modern twist, but more paying like homage to the classic. I like that. And then, like I said, I like that they broke it down and they kind of revisited it, but they were like, we're also going to have fun with this when they introed each of the mini episodes. The first of which, All You Need Is Glove.
Oh my god.
All you need is glove. If you don't like puns, just turn the show off now. We'll see you next week, because
you're in for a lot of trouble.
It's gonna be a long night. So, yeah. You guys want to jump into the episode? You good to go?
Yeah.
So we get our introduction to Mighty Mouse, but not as Mighty Mouse. We get our introduction as his mild-mannered sort of alter ego, which there's literally no difference between factory worker Mike Mouse and Mighty Mouse than a change of costume. So it's very much like a Superman kind of thing, where it's just like, oh, Clark Kent, this like 6'6", 250-pound office worker dude, takes his glasses off and suddenly, oh, it's Superman now. So same kind of thing. But yeah, Sean, to your point, Mike is literally the only person working in this factory other than his supervisor. So what's going on here?
So we were introduced to this mouse, and you know, if this is the first time you've ever seen this now, you have to presume, if you're not indoctrinated to Mighty Mouse, you have to assume that this is somebody of importance. Like, they wouldn't be showing him fucking around with all this factory equipment and have him be like a tertiary character. And by all this
factory equipment, isn't it just like a giant like drive shaft that he's trying to put a belt on?
He's just trying to put a belt like on these two rollers, and he's just failing miserably. And so as he's gearing up to do this, and as he's like crushing himself sort of comedically underneath what's going on, he begins to hear sort of these cries for help, and he rushes very quickly. You know, because we know that, you know, if there's any trouble, you know, near or far, that like Mighty Mouse he's gonna be there for you, you know, from the theme song. So like,
that sounds like a theme song. That was pretty good.
Yeah. So he rushes in, and this is I guess this is the moment where I was like, wait, what is actually going on in terms of the zaniness or the wackiness for this? Because we have a glove.
Yep.
We have like a maniacal glove that has captured our damsel in distress, which I don't even like, which I think is debatable and I think merits some conversation. But Pearl is being held. Pearl Pureheart,
tough name to say, is
being held by this glove,
quite literally at one point, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like and
when Sean says glove, so it's like this massive kind of floating sentient glove with like a Snidely Whiplash kind of face drawn on the palm of it.
Right.
So it's like a much bigger glove than just like one that would actually fit on your hand. It's like if you took one of Mickey Mouse's gloves and blew it up to like human size, basically.
Right.
That. Yeah.
Well,
or I guess mouse
I don't
size,
even want to say human size, because they get into some problems a little bit later in Hollywood where there's some scale issues that they have that need to be taken care of.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know, I'm getting very ahead of myself, but to Dave's point, like it is a sentient glove. It's like the end boss for any of the Super Smash Brothers where you have to fight like the hand.
It's like, from Star Fox where Andross's hands just come out the screen and smash your ship. It's basically that.
Yeah, and this is what it is. And so you just, but like to your point, he has like this nefarious little like thin handlebar mustache, and he's very insistent upon having Pearl just give him the factory. And you realize like this is one of those villains that like clearly has not thought out what he's actually doing.
Well, did you guys pick up on why he wanted the factory? Because we don't know what this factory does. We know there's only one worker, but we know that the glove wants it for some reason.
Right, and we know that he wants it because he wants to use the factory to create more bad mittens.
There's your pun warning.
Yep, pun warning number 2 for everybody. If it's not gonna get any better, guys.
No,
so if you're upset about this, just shut this off right now. All right.
Bad mittens.
So we get bad mittens. So he has this group, this cadre of these mittens, these like smaller little sentient gloves,
just like weird little gray gloves. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just kind of like they're looking around, and they've kind of got like crooked like eyebrows like back and forth. Like you can tell there's some shifty looking gloves.
They look like poorly made
gloves
in like a sweatshop, possibly by orphans. So it's like this is why he needs the factory free of orphans, as far as I know, to make more of these things.
Like these gloves have seen some shit in life, and like
literally,
they were raised on the wrong side of the track.
Shit gloves. They're gloves for shit.
They are poop gloves, and so these things are just kind of like supporting this glove in everything that he's doing, and they're tying up people, and they're grabbing the things that the glove is calling out that he needs. But the main crux of this, like thinking about it, is that like the glove is not asking. He's not making like a business proposition to Pearl. He's just like, give me your factory. And she's like, no. And she, like at that point, I would have been like, well, I'm just going to call the cops right now. I'm going to call the mouse police, and I'm going to get them to come here and take care of this glove problem for me, because this man is trying to hostilely take over this business with no rhyme or reason. There's no reason that he should be there in the first place.
Also, he's a giant fucking glove, and that's weird.
Yeah. Like, you're a business owner. Why did you entertain a meeting with a glove, with a sentient glove?
And his bad
I think you're You're giving him more credit than he deserves. I'm pretty sure he just bust in with his army of bad mittens.
Yeah.
And then they took her in a chokehold with his little pinky or whatever, because he's only got 4 fingers, so I don't know. I guess we just lose the thumb.
Yeah.
And is like, here you go, like, hook. And yeah. And you know what? As a female business owner, she's got to do what she's got to do. So she's sticking up for her own.
No, I'm not going to argue with you on this and say that, like, you know, she was in the wrong. Clearly she wasn't. Like, she was in the right. She had every reason to say no to this. It's just the simple fact that, like, he was not, he's really not respecting anything that she said. Like, he's asserting himself in a way that is extremely aggressive.
It's because he's a bad glove.
Oh my God. But he's
like, there's no argument here. He's a devil glove. Snidely Whiplash.
no, he's just a piece of shit.
Yep.
Just this shitty glove.
I tell you what, though, he does have some interesting kind of finger pun related devices at his disposal. So he's not only got the bad mittens, which are terrible. He's also got these kind of like weird, almost like Chinese finger trap devices, which not really. They're just other gloves that he just has a new name for. You guys remember
and what
that?
are they called, Dave?
Go ahead. I'm going to give this to Mel. This one's Mel's.
The Digit Dungeon.
The Digit Dungeon, which sounds like it should be like his lair, right?
And more importantly, they're let out on leashes,
Yeah,
like they're dogs.
Yeah, like dogs. So picture like a glove kind of crawling backwards, like the sleeve is its head, and it's crawling that way on a leash. So that's pretty creepy to begin with. And then these things just turn into like, they're just traps. They're like weird mobile traps that they end up trapping Pearl in, and then eventually we'll get to somebody else, a couple other people who get trapped in it. It's just a bizarre concept and idea, because they don't do anything. They're still able to like run around. They're just paired. They're like tied together in pairs. They're almost like gloved handcuffed Venus flytraps. It's one of the weirdest things that we've seen on the show.
If we adopted that, though, in our current incarceration system, I think we'd see some higher rates of rehabilitation.
If we just put prisoners in giant gloves that were tethered to each other?
Harker 2020.
Oh, no.
I mean, I think you're a little late because they're no longer privatizing prisons. Perhaps this was the reason, because they were stuffing inmates into giant sentient gloves. I didn't read the research.
Dave,
that's just my understanding of it.
But Dave, if you put me in a Digit Dungeon,
Yeah.
how will I do my knitting?
That's a good question.
Pearl.
These are these moments where you get this female character who is reportedly not a damsel in distress-ish character, who delivers a line that feels like it goes against the grain of the character that they set out. Like, she is a strong, independent business owner. Right. She is a woman.
So is Cruella DeVille.
And she is put in a finger jail in a Digit Dungeon. All right. And for her first thought is, how will I do my knitting?
Which she totally could have, because weren't her arms kind of free at some point?
Yeah,
totally.
Both of their arms are completely
free.
Free.
Just from like a practicality standpoint, you can get tons of knitting done because you can't do anything.
You could have done all the fucking knitting you wanted, Pearl. You had all the time in the world.
But let's say, knitting aside, they obviously want to get out of this Digit Dungeon, but Glove's not going to do it unless she gives them the factory. But I feel like maybe there's another way out. Somebody else has to be able to know the secret to get out of this thing, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who do you think?
Naturally, it's his twin brother Lefty.
Oh, Glove's got a twin brother named Lefty.
Mm-hmm.
That's convenient.
Who hasn't been seen since he was lost in the movie theater. Which, like, you know, wouldn't you put like bells on Lefty's shoes so that you can hear him? Like, if he's gonna get lost in a movie theater and like it's a one room, wouldn't you just go back and look for him?
This sort
It
of
would
felt
have been funny if he was like lost in like a dryer or something like that. Would have made a little more sense, I guess.
But like, did this not feel like it was something that had happened in this in one of the creators in their life, like some type of like a small town story, like interest piece where somebody's like, your kid lost inside of the movie theater. Will it happen? Tune in more at 10 o'clock tonight.
I didn't know if they were like trying to parody something from something of like that more classic period where like everybody always had those like white kind of fancy gloves, or if it was something from the Mickey Mouse days, or what, or if they were just trying to like put together some sort of plot device so they could move things forward.
They were straight up parodying the whole idea of losing a child, of like abandoning an infant.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, that's the place to do it, because at least they'll be entertained for the next hour and a half.
Yeah,
Guess so. But they gotta do it fast before the glove takes over the country.
Yeah, with his bad mittens.
Whoa, with his bad mittens. Not the world, just the country.
Just the country, so that's fine.
I just want to pause and say that like we are like 2 minutes into this episode, and it's like, and we've already discussed so much about this. There's literally like we are putting more thought into the discussion behind this episode and this part of the story so far than any of the writers put into any of this stuff at all. Like this stuff, again, because of the zaniness, there was so much that it feels like it was just thrown against the fucking wall for this. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, there's everything that you do has literally no ramification or impact on anything that happens later down the road. It's just stuff. It's just stuff to keep
Mel has
things
something
moving.
to say about that.
What's up, Mel?
I would disagree with you.
Okay.
I find that the charm and the brilliance of the show is in these stupid fucking details that seem to have no impact, but like in the gloves talking about, you know, like, I'm putting you in this digit dungeon and there's no possible way that you can get out of it except for maybe my brother Lefty, who was lost in a movie theater when we were a child. Like, that's like throwing that out just like, oh, it's just a nugget. Like, no one's gonna write extra dialogue just to have it be there. And a lot of like that in like the taking over the country, then we segue. I'm just gonna go a little bit in advance when they run away.
So let's real quick. So to wrap this thing up, there is another person who works at the factory. His name is Scrappy. He's basically an orphan. He wears overalls and he has a little tuft of red hair. He basically just
Hi guys,
my name's Scrappy.
Hey Pearl, I saw your light was on and I didn't know. Oh my god! And then so they use this opportunity of Scrappy coming in, and then Mike or Mighty Mouse and Pearl grab Scrappy and they run and jump into a car.
And at this point, Mike, not Mighty Mouse, because he was like, "There's no time to change into Mighty Mouse," which is weird. So he runs in, tries to fight off the badmintons. That doesn't work, and he can't use his superpowers because then his cover's blown. So he basically gets captured in the Digit Dungeon with Pearl. So now they're both running around in two different gloves. And then, they grab Scrappy and head out to the car. And then just take a road trip.
So this brings up my biggest question for this, because we're going to get to this very shortly.
Sure.
And I want everybody listening to kind of be cognizant of this and have this in the back of your mind. Why is Mike trying to keep his superhero persona? Why is he attempting to keep this secret?
Well, he's not trying real hard, because 50% of this cast...
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make with this, is that if he's rushing in to save Pearl, all right, why is he attempting to even... why is he just like, oh, there's no time for me to rip off my clothes and become Mighty Mouse? Like, he's doing it in every other fucking scene anyway. Yeah. He's doing it all the time. This dude is basically a nudist. Also, he's wearing like a pair of Dickies over top of a yellow jumpsuit. How the fuck do you not know that this is him? He's not, like, at least Clark Kent was like, I'm going to put everything underneath my clothing and I'll politely excuse myself to go use a phone booth, and then I'm going to strip down and take all these clothes off. Like, you can visibly see Mighty Mouse's clothes under Mike. Like, it's not like he's hiding at all. The only difference is that he has a hat on.
I think he has
not...
like a blue sweater or blue overcoat, because he's not like in just like the yellow. But he's also
I know.
He's also,
but he's got it poking out the side, like he's wearing like 90s grunge clothes.
He does show that off later on. He's just like, oh hey, check out my super
like, oh
suit.
Hey, I've got this underneath. You're like, settle down, buddy.
By this they mean muscles.
Yeah.
Podcast listeners.
Can I ask you guys my main question from this episode?
What's up?
All right, this bothered me. Everything else I'm totally cool with. Sentient gloves, weird digit dungeons, everything's fine. This is the thing I had a problem with. In order to get away from the badmintons, which are gloves,
right?
Mike throws a pot of hot coffee at them, which they play hot potato with. Now, friends, if you've ever cooked, if you've ever picked up a hot thing, what do you use to pick up a hot thing? You use a glove.
Yeah.
You use a fucking glove. So why were these things defeated by the one thing that their purpose serves to prevent against?
Oh no, those are oven gloves.
Of gloves.
Different breed.
Yeah,
of
these are poorly made orphan designed poop gloves.
Yeah, these are
all right, you've answered my question.
factory made gloves.
I'm good now. Yeah. So we're on a road trip. We've got Mike / Mighty Mouse, who can break out of the Digit Dungeon, but decides he doesn't want to because, to Sean's point, he wants to keep his secret identity intact, sort of.
Why?
Sort of.
Why?
And
Why?
only for
Why?
one of the people in the car, which is whatever. We'll get to that in a second. So they're driving to Hollywood because their theory is that... So what? That Lefty was lost in a movie theater. So obviously he would then go to Hollywood to try to make it big?
The logic isn't even that deep, Dave.
In the act?
It's just, where would a glove go?
Oh.
Hollywood. Get it?
No. I was like, no. Did I
don't
miss something?
get it.
No, I really don't get it. No. All gloves go to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me ask this question to Mel before we get any further. The relationship between Mike and Pearl, and the relationship between Mighty Mouse and Pearl, who's trying to smash?
So Pearl's trying to smash Mighty Mouse.
Okay.
Is she?
Yes.
Is she though?
Yes.
All right.
She loves Mighty Mouse.
Does she?
Okay.
Because in
Yeah,
the
it's
intro,
like
she
a
straight slams the door in his face. He's trying to
Yeah.
walk in and make like a shitload of mouse babies, and she just closes that door in his face.
No, she's like playing hard to get. That's all. That's normal.
That's pretty
yeah,
hard to
she's
get
playing
from
hard to get.
mice. They're like known for... Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right. So we have the idea that Mighty Mouse and Pearl is trying to smash Mighty Mouse. What about this whole Mike Pearl situation?
So Mike loves Pearl. Mike and Mighty Mouse both love Pearl.
Okay.
But it's like the Spider-Man thing, where you have to like preserve both identities, because if you ruin that balance, then like you might not have a chance with your girl, because you might like freak her out that like she didn't know that you were the same person.
Plus, then your driver's license is like all fucked up, and you got to like apply for another one and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
you got to get like some type of like legal mail and
Yeah,
show
you
up and get a
gotta-
new library
Right,
card.
you
Yeah, it's
double
rough.
taxed and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. It's just not
Ooh.
worth it. It makes much more sense to just destroy the entire town of Hollywood as a superhero, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what also makes a lot more sense? If Mike would have just been like, "Hey Pearl, I have something I need to tell you. Look you deep in your loving non-damsel in distress eyes. You know, Pearl, put down the fucking knitting. I need to tell you something. Look, Pearl, put down the knitting. Look, I'm Mighty Mouse. I'm also Mike. I'm a man. I've got two personas that I have. Let me love you as both. Let me love you as both.
Also, let
right.
me get us out of this digit dungeon and wrap this episode up much quicker than it needed to take.
Yeah, look, you're getting fingered by a lot of other people in this
Oh.
episode.
Oh.
All right. So let me be the one to then fingering.
Almost had it. You almost had it.
I almost had it.
So
Damn
there's
it.
a
So
great moment
close.
here. They're all in Hollywood now, and they're all still like in this weird prison glove, and they're just kind of marching along, and the glove just shows up again. So the glove like literally just shows up everywhere that they go. So he's just
But he's in
plaguing their
disguise this
steps.
time. Dave, he's in disguise this
Oh,
time. He's
God.
wearing a pair of sunglasses.
He is wearing a pair of
He's wearing a pair of
He's like a
sunglasses now.
tourist.
Clearly a different fucking sentient
A
glove.
very different glove. There's lots of just sentient gloves walking around Hollywood town.
Yo, to look at another glove
Yo.
that's just wearing a pair of sunglasses and be like, that's the glove. That's glove racist.
That is glovist.
Oh boy.
I'm not fucking, that's glovist.
Glovist.
That is bullshit.
Yeah, I apologize.
You know?
On behalf of all
You know?
sentient gloves out there, I apologize for my slight.
Look, we are in a culture where where there's not a single glove that doesn't matter. We have to be respectful of the fact that there are all different types of gloves from different materials. There are all different types of gloves from different materials, and we need to respect those differences. All right.
But wouldn't you say that some materials are kind of like of a higher quality than others?
Oh my God, you guys.
No?
I can't eye roll hard enough. I can't. Like my eyes will pop out of my head in a cartoon-like manner,
Oh.
and then you'll have to catch it with a bowler cap. That's actually a building.
Nailed it. That's the beige derby.
So this brings up something that's fun, and I know Dave, you said that the glove with the coffee pot was the moment for you where you were just like, I'm buying everything else. Now I'll be honest, I'm buying everything else in this episode as well.
Okay.
All right, and I'm enjoying it. The problem that I suddenly have with this is that in this moment where the glove is chasing everybody and he's trying to capture them, he suddenly is now the size of a building.
I think that was just bad. Yeah, I guess it was. Because he picks up an entire building.
Because he picks up a bowler hat that is shaped like a building that is near like the Man's Theater.
And look, I will say I spent a fair amount of time in Hollywood. This is a photorealistic representation of the town. Everything is exactly as I remember it being. The Brown Derby was actually shaped like a giant beige bowler hat. The Capitalistic Records Tower was actually built out of giant records, giant vinyl records.
I love that.
And Groman's Chinese Theater, which is now I think like HTC Theater or some whatever
something like that.
Yeah. Is exactly like that, like it was.
And so we have this moment where he picks up this bowler hat. The glove picks up this building-sized bowler hat, and he throws it. He just chucks it across. It hits this tower, this literal tower of records, and it knocks it over. And in fact, he gets hit on the head with one of these like floors of the Tower Records building.
Not to mention
and
all the people who worked in that place.
Yeah. Everybody killed.
Noted.
Everybody killed.
Also, it must have been a tough place to work because those were like solid. There was no room. There's literally no air to breathe. Just solid stack of vinyl records.
Well, it was after 5, so everyone had gone home at that point.
Oh, good point. They were all over at the Beige Derby getting drinks.
Yeah.
So they're also dead.
But they're also dead because they were thrown into their building where they work. Like, get back to work.
Back to work.
And so like they get to this moment where like all this happens, and then suddenly the glove falls down outside of the theater, like where like the all the hand imprints are like outside.
But like you said, like King Kong sized.
Yeah, he's like King Kong sized and smashes into the ground there.
So problem solved, right? Mighty Mouse saves the day. Everything's fine, right? Is that where we're at?
At this point, you could have been like, they just murdered a giant glove.
Yeah, which is fine.
Totally okay with that.
I'm fine with that. It was a substandard quality material glove anyway, so it's fine.
Oh my god. Okay.
Made in Korea.
# all gloves matter. But yeah, so the episode's over, right?
No, it's not.
Well, what happens? Well, hold on. So Mighty Mouse busted out of this glove. What was Pearl doing? I feel like she was right next to him. She probably should have seen something.
Oh no, she was so horrified that she had her eyes, her glove finger hands over her eyes, not looking.
Oh, the entire time.
The entire time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I want to reiterate, she's not damsel in distress.
Oh, but she's just fainting by the.
But she has dialogue written for her as such, and she has all the characteristics and mannerisms of a damsel in distress.
I gotcha. You know what? I'm tired of this Hollywood thing. It's getting a little old. I feel like we should go somewhere. If we're gonna go on a road trip, we might as well go somewhere else. You guys have anywhere in mind? You want to go?
We should probably go to Tibet because it's clear that Lefty's not in Hollywood.
I hear it's sunny there. Sunny Tibet.
Sunny Tibet. So this is the scene that sticks out in my mind, that from a child. So that they get to Tibet because they're told that Lefty went abroad.
Well, can I interrupt you real quick because there's something that happens in the car.
That's what
Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Get to it.
That's like pretty much what happens. They get off the plane, they get into a car because that's what they decide to go abroad, and Tibet is abroad.
It's about as abroad as you can get.
It's one location. So they're on the back seat of this taxi that's being driven by an Inuit? ?
It looked like I don't know what that was. Something racist.
Like a Mongolian? I don't know. They were just playing with this.
It was the Eskimo scientist from a previous Transformers episode. He was moonlighting as an Uber driver in Tibet.
Tibetan Uber drivers are the best. So they're all in the back seat and they're tired because they've been traveling to Tibet.
Right.
And Scrappy is like awake because he's just like on
Coke.
I don't know, sugar Coke.
Yeah.
Coke sugar.
Coke sugar.
And pokes Mike. And it's like, hey Mike, hey Mike, whatever happened to Mighty Mouse? And that's when
no, hold on.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, because this is what he says. He goes, I've just been thinking about that day. That day that you disappeared. You know anything about it?
That day in Hollywood.
That day in Hollywood that you disappeared suddenly, and then you weren't there. Know anything about that day?
Now, I was
that you
under
disappeared, Mike?
I was under the impression that Scrappy, because this is like the 9th episode of the series now, I was under the impression that Scrappy already knew his secret identity.
No, this is the moment it's revealed.
I had no idea.
And Mike pulls out, from his glove dungeon thing, his little bicep, which he then grows.
Little bicep. This
Well,
is
he
Mighty
got-
Mouse.
No, I'm contrasting. Like, he brings it out and he's normal, and then he's like flexes,
Oh, right,
like
Ooh.
mountain bicep. And then Scrappy goes fucking berserk.
Yep.
Berserk. Oh my god, it's Mighty Mouse. Totally loses his mind. He's like, you gotta keep quiet from Pearl. And then she's like, and then she flips over.
Yep.
And she's still asleep.
I think that Mike/Mighty Mouse and Scrappy got a little something going on. I don't think there's anything between Pearl and Mike. I think that's all a cover story. She's his beard. I don't think there's anything going on there.
I gotta agree with you, Dave.
Yeah.
I definitely got some weird vibes in this one episode, these two half episodes. Some interesting vibes between Mighty Mouse, Mike, and Scrappy.
Well, a
No,
little known fact of trivia: when they actually did a deleted episode for this series, Mighty Mouse had a third alter ego. His name was Power Bottom, but they decided that they didn't want to air that episode because it was confusing for kids.
I loved when
God.
Toni Collette ended up playing Mighty Mouse in the United States of Mighty Mouse. That was a great series when it aired. I mean, just a lot of really distinct characterizations.
The
and
live action
personalities.
Mighty Mouse is an underrated series.
Yeah. The one that Guillermo del Toro did.
God, what a nightmare that would be.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Jesus.
It's just a fucking
All
nightmare.
right, we're in Tibet. Mike and Scrappy are like quietly banging while Pearl is asleep.
Rude.
It's rude. Scrappy plays an interesting role in what happens next, because if you're in Tibet and you're in the snowy mountains, you have to have what, everybody? An avalanche, right? It's like a
Oh,
cartoon.
I thought you were going to say parkas.
You what? Sorry?
You have to have parkas.
Also parkas. But then also avalanche.
Just based on how convoluted this entire trip is, I'm not surprised that they didn't like stop at and buy like starter jackets given the period of time when this came out.
Yeah, they should have.
Or just like jump off to an REI and like load up on stuff. Got to get that dividend end of the year, And so they're just like they come totally unprepared for everything, and I love how much they are not really thinking about what they're doing. They're just like, we're out of a plane, we're into a thing, and now we're into an Inuit taxi, and now we have parkas
Plus avalanche.
plus avalanche.
Which gives Mike, so now at this point, Mike figures he's got the perfect plan for how he can finally get into action as Mighty Mouse. And the plan basically goes as follows. He's going to get out of his little digit dungeon. He's going to stuff Scrappy in there, and then he's going to do some weird trickery to his face to make him sort of look like Mike, so that Pearl, who's apparently also like half blind, is she one of the blind mice? She cannot. She looks right at him and she's just like, Mike, where's Scrappy? Where's Scrappy? And then now that Scrappy, pretending to be Mike, is basically just like, Scrappy's dead. Scrappy's straight up dead. Sorry.
Oh no, we must have lost him in the avalanche.
Yeah. Otherwise known as he dead.
I know. I also got a weird feeling in this scene where all of a sudden Scrappy was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get me some. Like, I'm gonna get me some.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm gonna pick up where
Scrappy's
I'm gonna
dead.
pick up where."
So,
Oof.
I
You know what he
do
would've wanted?
love though that Mighty Mouse was just like, well, I can get out of this prison at any time, but I'm gonna stuff this orphan in here so he can stay behind in my place and he can never get himself out.
And he has no idea whether or not Scrappy's actually going to be okay inside of this digit dungeon, because he's like, I'm going to go fly off and do some other stuff really quick. I'm going to go break off the top of a building and then catch
not just
falling snow
not just
like it's
any
fucking
building.
ice cream.
He's gonna break off the top of a mosque or like
Yeah.
like one of those the Russian Orthodox churches, like the onion domes.
Yes.
Sure, why not? Let's grab one of those.
Yeah.
And then make a weird snow ice cream scoop out of it.
Yeah.
Neapolitan style.
But he wouldn't let Pearl perish in the avalanche, so by proxy, neither can Scrappy.
No, I just love that he stuffed an orphan in a prison, essentially.
I mean, that's definitely not true.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way that Mike would actually ever confess to being Mighty Mouse to Pearl is if he was put in like a natural disaster, if he was placed inside of a dire situation where there's no, like, if they were trapped in snow, I think that would be the appropriate time for him to just be like, Pearl, I really have something I need to tell you. Like, I've had a very difficult time conveying this information. I'm going to finally tell you I am Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, he can just tell Scrappy at the drop of a hat, just when they're in a Tibetan taxi driven by an Eskimo scientist. Like that, that's fine. But for Pearl, I don't know, because he can always get out of any situation. But you know what, guys? This avalanche talk and like all this snow, I feel like I need to go somewhere. Like I gotta go somewhere and relax, get a drink, maybe take in a show. Do you guys know any like decent places in Tibet I can check out?
Oh, in Tibet?
Yeah,
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to pull
like
up
at the top of a
Yelp.
mountain or something.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up Yelp real
Yeah,
quick.
what do you got? Anything
Looks
good?
like, oh, hey, you know what? I got 5 stars on Club Miami.
Sure, let's head it up.
Club Miami.
What's the special guests tonight? I feel like they have live shows, don't they?
They
Yeah.
do. They're doing a ventriloquist act.
Oh, that sounds great, I guess.
That always kills in Tibet.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people drinking drinks.
Oh, no, they're seedy looking.
Yeah, they're seedy
That's what I'm
looking,
saying.
but-
Yeah,
Don't associate. They are very seedy looking.
super seedy. And we got this performer with his ventriloquist doll in a bow tie. It happens to be a glove.
But it's just
Whose name
another
is-
glove, so it's fine. We've already seen, like, I don't want to make any, I don't want to offend anybody and like assume that it's a missing pair of a glove. It's just another glove.
But then
Right?
the glove shows up
Oh.
because the glove is everywhere.
Oh, right.
Trying to fight it
Trying to
out,
throw it
and
out.
then realizes it's his long lost, left behind glove brother Lefty.
Here's a question. One of many.
Indeed.
Why is he pink?
I don't know. Is it stage makeup?
Might be.
Is it ventriloquist stage makeup that he's
Did he have
wearing?
like Kool-Aid spilled on him when he was in the movie theater and just stained?
Oh, right.
Mel's got the
Hawaiian
answer.
punch.
Mel's got the answer.
Here's my convoluted theory. I hope you're ready. Buckle up for
Buckle
this.
up, kid.
Lefty and Glove, who has a real name but that I didn't catch in the episode.
Oh, I
even
caught
though
it,
watched
and
the
I
episode.
don't believe I caught it right, but I caught it.
I'm gonna ask for it, and then I'm gonna continue my story.
Okay.
What's the name?
Oh, you're
of it?
literally okay. I wanted
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
literally ask for it. I heard Kelsey.
Yeah. Okay. Me too. Okay.
Kelsey,
So Kelsey.
the glove.
Yeah.
So Kelsey.
So hold on, real quick.
And Lefty.
Kelsey. The parents of these gloves named them Lefty
Mm-hmm.
and Kelsey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were clear on that.
And my theory is that they were both born pink gloves,
Okay.
and that what happened to Glove,
Yeah.
aka Kelsey, is that he tumbled into an ocean or a small water gathering of bleach water.
Like a watering
Of bleach
hole.
water, and then that turned him bad, which is probably near the factory where the badmintons were made. And the reason they were badmintons is because, like in Day of the Tentacle, when the tentacle starts drinking the acid water grossness and becomes crazy, that's how the badmintons were made, is because they tumbled into this bad acid bleach water with Kelsey, and Kelsey became Glove and lost his bow tie, and here we are now.
All right, so
You know
Sean
what?
has
I
a
buy it.
follow-up.
I buy it. I buy
Sean's
it.
all
I
in.
buy it. I buy it 100%.
So we've got two things. We got two things in one here. We have a PSA telling kids not to drink bleach, which is great.
Yep.
We've also got basically that Kelsey, his origin story is the same as the Joker.
Yeah, pretty
Oh
much.
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm fine.
The
with that.
Joker.
I love that he
I had
tumbled into
did-
bleach and that they were both originally pink gloves. More so
That's my
than
theory.
Lefty having Kool-Aid spilled on him.
Well, that's why Lefty's like, man, Kelsey, you look so different. It's because he had this traumatic accident.
I like it. I like it. Tumbled into bleach.
It's not them. It's not the mustache.
No.
No.
It's not the mustache at all.
Or his weird
All right, fair
minions. So we have a reunion now. Like, there's obviously a fight between Mighty Mouse and Glove, which is okay, whatever. It's cool that they have like a throwdown. But the main thing is that there's like a reunion between Lefty and Kelsey, and it's kind of like a nice brotherly reunion. They reconcile. Lefty's kind of like, "What's your deal, dude? Like, what's going on? We used to like dance. We used to hang out. We used to put on little shows. Like, why are you being all like world or at least country ruling? What's your problem?" I love that the little
Dunno.
badmintons look at their boss like, "Are we not being evil anymore? What are we doing?"
Like, are we changing this
Yeah,
up?
we're
Like, we
not,
got a new direction?
yeah.
What's going on here? It's one of those moments where you find, that possibly for the sake of time, possibly because of just how zany this is, and because they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with a lot of
Yeah.
this. All of a sudden, you have Lefty who just goes, it's never too late to change. Like, very simple, very clear message. Look, you can always turn your life around. It's never too late to
Look,
change.
you can always dye yourself any other color you want.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bleach
You can
yourself
always
and then
drink-
die.
You can always drink bleach and become somebody
I also
else.
said bleach yourself and die. That's not exactly how I
Oh,
intended
Jesus
it, but
Christ,
it works.
Dave.
It works the same. It worked the same.
Oh my.
All right, so
oh my
everybody's
God.
happy. Everything's wrapped up. Everything's totally fine, right?
Meh.
Are we still
You
missing
forgot.
somebody?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Where is Scrappy?
So at this point, Pearl has been traumatized by the loss of this orphan in the snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the abominable snowman shows up and it turns out to be Scrappy, I'm assuming she's like doesn't have any questions. She's totally fine. Everything's super happy, right?
She's so fine with it that she throws him up in the air into a
ceiling
fan.
fan.
And murders him instantly. It's a really dark ending.
No. Let's talk about this ending. I don't need to unpack very much of this, but it had my favorite line from this entire episode.
Okay.
Because at this moment, we suddenly have we have Lefty and we have Kelsey who are just like, do you remember that dance that we used to do when we were kids? And they're just like, oh, that old ditty? Yeah, I remember that. Are we really doing this? Are we doing it? And so they begin to do this sort of like vaudeville, like 2-person show back and forth where they're dancing and they have little top hats and little canes and they're really getting into this little act they're doing. And just somebody must have been just doing some extra dialogue like off stage or something like that. They must have been doing just like some unnecessary stuff and just having fun with it. And at some point, as the show is like fading out and they're getting ready to like close this episode and just the zaniness, it gets zanier because of this line. At one point, Kelsey just goes, "Fingers are better than hands."
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
What?
Fingers are better than feet? Is that what he said?
No, he said fingers are better than hands. He's a fucking hand. He's a hand with fingers. And now he's just like, well, the fingers are the best part of me. It's like, that episode, like that line, because I heard it.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of irising out and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in disbelief. So I scrubbed back to like actually listen to it again. I was like, wait, what did they really say? Very distinctly. Fingers are better than hands.
Makes sense to me.
What? Yeah. Yep. You know what? I'm still buying it 100%. I'm still on board.
All right, Mel, any final thoughts from that episode? And we're getting a little short on time, but we do have another segment of this episode to get to, so we'll get to that in a minute.
This will be very short. I used to try to recreate the can dance with my hand as a child because I was like, how does that work? And then, don't you know, until just now, like, my little brain didn't know how counting worked. No, you got to use the whole like palm. The whole palm and the two, like your pinky finger and your thumb are your extremities, but you have too many legs. And I couldn't figure out why I had too many legs. And I would try to do these little dances. And that's how I became a vaudeville performer.
Yeah, a hand dancing vaudeville performer.
Yeah, which I got to by escaping on a boxcar, but we can get into that in a second.
Oh man, I love hobos. I'm so glad we get to talk about hobos tonight. Are you kidding me?
Little known fact: for a very long time, Dave was actually a hobo and rode the rails of this great country.
I think about doing it every once in a while.
Oh, jeez.
Except for all the like sexual assaults and stabbing. Other than that,
yeah,
sounds like the life.
Well, that's what Scrappy thinks.
I mean, my birthday's coming up, so maybe.
Yeah, true.
Would you guys want to do that for your birthday?
No,
absolutely not.
Okay.
Never in a million years.
I guess I'm on my own with that too.
All
right, well, me and Scrappy will be birthday hobos together.
We get this episode that is called it's Scrappy's birthday.
It's literally just called it Scrappy's birthday.
Yeah. I looked down in disbelief. The reason that sounded like a question is because I reread and I was like, that can't be. Yeah, that actually is right. I wrote that right.
Scrappy's birthday.
Fair enough.
Just tell you the plot straight out of the gates. But it's also what?
It's also a big event.
Yeah.
It's Mouseville Cheese Day.
It's Mouseville Cheese Day.
Mouseville Cheese Day.
Look at those cheesettes. They're so professional.
So, long story short with all of this is that Scrappy wakes up one morning excited and bursting with
cheese.
Just the energy that comes behind a birthday. You know, he's a kid. He's a very young kid, and he's an orphan, all right? And so he's just like, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to have the best day I can possible. Let's go celebrate my B-Day, and let's go get some cake.
I'm going to deliver these papers to John Q. Public,
Yep.
Literally,
And,
that was the guy's name.
That's literally the actual name, which was fantastic. So we get to this point where, they have this big cheese day celebration that's downtown. And as Mel was saying about the cheesettes, they have all these like, think about it like Macy's Thanksgiving Day
Right, with all the
parade,
floats and
but
everything.
it's all with cheese.
All cheese. Ladies and cheese heads, cheese wedges with legs.
Right?
The Statue of Liberty, and looks like that, but then it's just called Our Friend Cheese.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know what
Very
was
creative.
happening there. Big cheese
At
wheels
some
rolling.
Yeah. That was my favorite thing, Mel. That line was just all of a sudden they show Pearl as the Statue of Liberty, and it just goes, "It's Our Friend Cheese," and I'm like, you know what? Sure,
That could have been her
absolutely.
name.
It's Our Friend
Our
Cheese.
Friend Cheese.
Like, so they get to this point. So the skinny of this is that suddenly, and the fun of this episode is that suddenly Scrappy feels really destitute. He feels like nobody appreciates him, nobody understands him, nobody gives a shit about this ginger orphan, and is just like, okay, great. You know what? I'm gonna go do the next best thing possible. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge, and I'm doing that by going on the rails.
I love that he's like, nobody notices my birthday. I'm just gonna go hang out with a hobo.
Yeah, that's like the equivalent of saying like, you know what? Nobody remembered my birthday. I'm gonna go get sexually assaulted down by a train yard.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like it's the same fucking
mine's
thing.
coming up on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it, so it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
The weird thing is like,
I'll see you then.
yeah, I'm looking for a comedian who can't get any laughs. Named Slappy Rimshot.
Slappy Rimshot. Let's talk about Slappy Rimshot.
I'm looking for
Are we
a
there?
sloppy rimshot, to be honest with you. So
The best part about the introduction of Slappy Rimshot is, he introduces what his name is. That's a performer's name, and I don't know how I got it or when I got it. And I'm like, it's pretty easy. You got to do in a porno.
yeah,
Like that's the only way you could
gotta
get a
do
name
mouse
like
porno down at the
Slappy
rail.
Rimshot. Where you just cream pied everybody, like
Wow.
pretty easy.
Is that a
Oh,
mouse
boy.
thing? Do mice do that?
You got a cheese pie them.
Cheese pie. Cream
That
cheese.
sounds delicious.
Cream cheesed it.
Cream cheesed it.
This
then
might
he
be the
squirted.
grossest thing we've ever said on this show.
I'm so delighted with myself.
Cream cheesed it.
No, I just want a cheese pie. That sounds like a big pie of macaroni
I do. I
and
just want
cheese, which
something
sounds
cream
great.
cheese now.
Oh my
I'm
god.
gonna make
We
a
got
cream
cream
cheese
cheese.
alcoholic drink called a sloppy rim shot. It's
Ooh,
gonna be
no,
on
that
the
sounds
back of my
gross.
mouth, and then I'm gonna die of like dysentery or something. All right, so we've got Scrappy and Slappy hanging out on the rails. Scrappy thinks it's like super cool to be a weird hobo creature, so they're just
Right.
like in a boxcar. Slappy's super chill. He's used to this. This is like his life. Scrappy, however, is like apparently like basically nude at this point and just like shivering in the middle of this
Well,
boxcar.
Well, the best thing about this, and Mel helped me out with
Yeah.
this, is that the whole pitch that Slappy has, to Scrappy is, listen, this is a tough life. You do not want this
Right.
life. And he's like, don't worry, I'm an orphan. I've raised myself, and I'll continue doing it no matter what. And it's just like going off, like just really going off on the idea of like how he's flexible, he's amenable to this new lifestyle. It's something that is desirable to him, and he just wants to get the hell out of this town. And then 2 seconds into it, he is shivering on the
he's a
floor, and he's
mess.
just like, "This floor's
so
cold, and
tired
it's
of it.
wet in here, and I don't like it."
My back hurts.
Yeah,
My back
exactly.
And then to make matters worse, a bunch of new folk show up, and they are super creepy. So they like
Oh
pop
my
in from
God.
the top of this boxcar, let all the rain in. And they all come down. They're kind of shadowy at first. You don't really know what's going on, but there's 4 of them. It turns out that there are Slappy's old pals, which I call the creepy hobo clowns.
For obvious
They're
reasons.
terrifying. They're creepy hobo
Yeah.
clowns. They got creepy hobo clown teeth, which if
Yeah,
you didn't know, were like the worst teeth ever.
They look like white candy corns.
Yeah,
Oh.
real nasty.
And just like, ugh,
Real
it's
nasty.
like white, sharp candy corns. It's just gross.
Let me ask you this: if you guys went to see like a circus show or something, would you be impressed by any of the following? A juggler on a unicycle. Yeah.
No.
Not impressed.
Seen
by
it?
that?
Yes, I've seen it already.
seen it on TV.
Saw it on TV yesterday.
How
Oh
about
my
2 guys
God.
doing like
Which-
a? No, nothing. How about two guys doing like an acrobatics routine?
Probably.
More of that than the juggler on the It's like, okay.
Yeah.
How about a like a depressed magician that makes a sad bird appear in his hat?
No.
You can't pay for that kind of talent.
That seemed to work for Scrappy. But I feel
Scrappy's a dark
He's
motherfucker.
a dark motherfucker. I feel like something's missing though. Like we need somebody to bring some like laughter. Is there anybody in the crew that can do that?
No, because Slappy Rimshot, that's supposed to be his talent, but he doesn't know how to make anybody laugh.
Yeah, he's terrible at it. He tries the joy buzzer and then thinks twice. He tries pies out of nowhere and that doesn't work. He tries the water flower thingy.
I absolutely love that there's that really cringeworthy moment in this episode where he's really trying to, like, he fails once and he's like, no, but seriously, folks, this is how.
It's like watching a
they-
stand-up comedian just like completely crash and burn on stage.
Oh
It's
God,
that level.
it is. And believe me, if you have never seen a stand-up comedian crash and burn on stage, holy shit, you need to see it. It's a wonderful
It's
thing.
something to see.
It's the
Something to
best.
see.
Do they normally pie their audience when they're just like at the end of their rope?
Look, man, if you could just pull like boysenberry pies out of nowhere, that would be amazing. These things came out of nowhere.
Yeah, really.
You know, for somebody who is a hobo riding the rails, he really does have an incredible access to baked goods.
Yeah, and a variety of wild berries that he can, huckleberry.
And water. Constant water
Constant
supply.
Well, I think the cream pie is probably just semen and berries that he finds on the side of the road, and then he just like mixes it up and sticks it in the same 2 tin cans.
This is getting too real.
Just like throws it at people.
He's like, it's boysenberry.
Well, I'll tell you what makes these guys
Because
laugh.
this boy was in a berry and then ejaculated into a pie tin.
Oh, God.
What?
I never thought Mighty Mouse was going to get so gross.
Yeah, we're not even like Mighty Mouse is barely even in this episode.
If you've noticed, he's yet to show up. Like Mike was there earlier on, but he didn't care about Scrappy. He just cared about Cheese Day.
Right.
So at this point, the other clowns are like, Slappy, you haven't made us laugh. So the only thing that makes them laugh is by Slappy introducing Scrappy, basically handing over this orphan child to be like, do with him what you will. But he's also friends with Mighty Mouse, and that makes them laugh for some reason. They think it's so
Hilarious.
funny that he thinks he's friends with Mighty Mouse.
If we only had, again, another natural disaster that could occur to kind of break up the scene
Like
and
an
get us away
electrical
from everything.
storm,
Yeah.
which comes out of nowhere and somehow severs a boxcar for the rest of the train.
I mean, this is the darker part of town.
Yikes. Was that a race
That's,
thing?
no.
Mel.
Melanie's 100% correct in this because the one thing that is really amazing is that as we are flipping back between some of these scenes, like, so the time of day that this is all occurring, we have Scrappy at the parade,
Right.
and it is a bright, sunshiny day. Right. He goes and he speaks with Slappy, presumably within a matter of like a couple minutes. And it's suddenly like there are crickets outside. It is dark out. It's like it's almost a completely different setting.
So it literally
like
is the darker
a
side of
completely different time of day.
Mhm.
And when they get on this train to kind of go, and so I mean, I get the idea, the imagery that they're putting behind this is that like, look, this is something that he is used to. This is a fun, happy, comfortable place for him, but like he's living in this misery, which is sort of like a state of like perpetual darkness, and like that makes sense. Like I get it. Like as an adult, I understand that like why they would make that choice and why they would do that. It's just very confusing that there are certain times where they will flip back and forth between where suddenly Mike the Mouse is like, I wonder what Scrappy's up to right now. Haven't seen him outside since this morning. And he's in like the sun shiniest place inside of this parade, as well as also how the episode sort of comes to a conclusion. Like he's outside and it's a beautiful day out.
Well, that's a great way to wrap this up. So we're not even going to like really waste time talking about, obviously it's a runaway train car. Mighty Mouse comes and saves the day.
Yeah.
It's pretty rote at that point. What's interesting is how it all ends up. So when Mighty Mouse kind of drops this boxcar in the middle of town, he draws the doors back and it opens onto what? Surprise for Scrappy.
Yay!
It's a birthday party!
A cake with his head on top of it.
Yay, weird. And then
Creepy.
Slappy, who's also along for the ride, is like, hey, kid, can I get like a old Slappy get a piece of that cake? And one for the road.
Slappy's been eating a lot of pies lately,
Yeah, a lot of boys and berry pies.
I want to stick my dick in some cake.
And a piece of that cake. He's also out in the sunshine for the first time in God knows how many years.
Well, Mighty Mouse does pull them out of the clouds of darkness to get back to Mouseville.
And then a thing happens that I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
It's so good.
Is it?
Fingers are better than hands.
Fingers are better than hands. Is it good?
It's so amazing.
Because we've got old timey random, like mayor maybe, old timey random old dude at this picnic at this party, and he's like, "Hey, is Tony the barber here?" Sure.
Tony the barber shows up right behind
right there,
Slappy.
Right there, and he looks exactly like a stereotypical Italian mouse barber would. He actually looks like the Italian guy from An American Tale. The Italian.
I was just gonna say that. Yes.
So he shows up and he's like, "Hey, why don't you clean up Scrappy over here?" Or I'm sorry,
give
why don't you
this
clean
guy
up
the
Slappy?
works.
Yeah, give him the works.
Give him the works, which I don't know what he did to this guy. It looked like he didn't just like clean him up and cut his hair. He like completely morphed him into a totally different character. I have no clue what he did to this guy.
He poured bleach over top.
He poured glove bleach on him. Go ahead, Mel.
I just want to say that if I could get a haircut and lose 40 pounds, I would do it today. I would not waste any time.
Do you want to come out looking like an Oscar statuette? Like, I don't know what. He like poured bronzer on him and like turned him into a weird monkey looking character?
Yeah.
What was that?
He no longer is a mouse.
No.
He's a monkey. He turns out to be a monkey. He is a rat hobo.
Yeah.
But underneath that rat hobo exterior lives the heart of a golden monkey.
Golden monkey. Named Charles M. Cheesearm.
Yep.
The founder of Cheese Day in Mouseville. What the fuck?
And this whole thing concludes with Scrappy being like, can't imagine this. Today is my birthday, and I got to meet and hang out with the guy who started Cheese
my
Day.
favorite thing, he's like, man, I ran away from Cheese Day, and then I met the guy who founded it. And that's how they end the episode. It was a shaved golden monkey masquerading as a hobo rat comedian. What? Welcome to cartoons.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so anything else from this last segment before we get to some user reviews from folks out there in Toontown?
Oh, let's get into it.
So we've got an interesting one here that I pulled. Normally we pull like one that's super positive, one that's kind of negative. We've got a couple of weird ones today. So the first one actually talks about a controversy that came out with this cartoon. Long story short, there was an episode that featured Mighty Mouse getting a flower from a girl, and then later in the episode he pulled the flower out of his pocket and he was like smelling the flower to remind himself of the girl, and he ended up sniffing the flower like up his nose. So it was kind of like this funny cartoonish thing. Well, there was like this American Families Association or whatever, one of these like family values organizations, that they basically were like, this is a metaphor for cocaine and we cannot be showing this to children. And
what?
Yeah, exactly. So Bakshi came out and he's just like, the fuck are you talking about? Like nothing. I saw it. My editor had a question about it. I went back and looked at it. It was totally fine. I greenlighted it. It was fine. They went through this whole thing back and forth. So we've got a user review that actually talks about it. The funniest thing about it is he doesn't talk about the episodes at all. He just talks about the controversy and then gives it a 10 out of 10 stars. But here's what he has to say. It's from P. Volan from United States. And his title is Allow Me to Set You Guys Straight. Here we go. This is something I happen to know a little bit about. I saw the alleged coke sniffing episode. It is called The Littlest Tramp. I was fortunate enough to record it off the air. It was actually shown twice before they got in trouble and then edited in further showings. Quite different from, quote, never being seen again. There is a British video cassette collection of new Mighty Mouse available only in PAL format. I have seen it and the alleged sniffing has been edited out. If you watch the cartoon, wait for him to say these words, I know someone else like that. You should immediately see the pink powder fly up his nose. If you see Mighty staring at a fire or something else, the scene is missing. I saw John Kay, and that's John Crickfalusi, at an appearance at the Seattle Art Museum. He said that he was the director. Bakshi was the producer. Both of those guys can say that it was a symbolic flower all that they like. That's their prerogative. I say that if someone sniffs powder up their nose, it is a drug reference. It also seems to me that the show went on for quite some time after this happened. So you can check that out. It's actually on their wiki page. You can see stills and stuff from it. It's literally just like a pink flower that gets sniffed up his nose. It's not like a mountain of white powder that he then gets crazy energy from. So there you go. A little side story for that. But we do have another user review.
This is going to get crazy.
Here we go, guys. Get ready.
I can't wait for this. All right, guys. This is 2004 from Ultramat 2000-1 from Orlando, Florida. This is titled Hated It. Welcome to, quote, Matt's Rants, end quote. Since the Dungeons and Dragons review can't come, my brother liked it, but didn't. Mighty Mouse, the world's most lovable cartoon character, ruined. His adventures were wacky, ultra wacky. As a child, I liked the old cartoon of the 40s. I saw this new one in 1989. I never understood it. I saw one episode where Mighty Mouse fought a witch and who lived in a pumpkin. It was messed up. The hat talks, pants talk. It was a little messed up, Lidsville. And of course, Mighty Mouse fighting the pumpkin-like beast was spoofing King Kong. And speaking of old movies, there was one where Scrappy and Mighty Mouse go back in time and see a spoof of prehistory, where you see some creatures that are a combo between a cat and a dinosaur. A lot of episodes I saw were messed up. The only good episode I saw is where Scrappy is getting chased and he hides in a movie theater and sees old Mighty Mouse cartoons. I was glad to see it. I was so happy to see the old ones, but alas, the sweet age is over and the wacky age is in. At the time I saw this cartoon, I began hating Sesame Street because it was too wacky. Beginning with Ernie plucking off Bert's nose. Ew! What Sesame Street turns Herschel Gordon Lewis on us? I found Elmo annoying. Anyway, the drawings in this poor show spawned a whole range of wacky cartoons like Ren and Stimpy, 1991-95, Dexter's Lab, 96-2003, Farley Odd Parents, 2001 onwards, etc. Bottom line, I like the old cartoon series. You can say I'm a footy.
Look, I'd like to thank Sean for reading that review. I'd also like to thank Donald Trump personally for submitting it to us. That was great. I'm glad you're a fan of the show and you've watched Mighty Max. And your review was just as articulate as everything else you've said in the past. So I really do appreciate that. So now that we've heard from some users out there, let's wrap it up here. What do you guys think about this particular series? We're going to start with Mel. Do you recommend it to other viewers out there, or does it get the dip, meaning that it's erased from existence for all time?
Definitely does not get the dip.
Okay.
Fuck that other guy who thinks the show is too wacky. Has he seen Roadrunner? Like, come on, that's a fucked up cartoon from the early days.
Fair.
Come on, man.
Fair.
Chill out. Sorry, I'm very upset about that review. But everybody should watch Mighty Mouse. You should watch the old shit, watch the new shit. It's great. It's not really new because it's old now, because it's like real old. It's like,
Watch like the old shit and then like that new old shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
That new.
That new.
You feel me. I'm done now. This is too much.
Thanks, Mel. All right, Sean, what about you, buddy? Recommend it, and does it get the dip?
Definitely does not get the dip, and I would also recommend it.
Fair enough. I'm going to say, yeah, recommend it. Check it out. I would watch the older ones too, just so you get an idea of kind of where Mighty Mouse started and what the tone, what the aesthetics were like to begin with. And then also check out the newer version to sort of get a new angle on that. And we'll save it from the dip. There's no reason to erase this from existence. What do you got, Sean?
I think the biggest thing about this is that having the understanding of the artists and the animators that this inspired in the 90s, kind of watching this now, like I had a much deeper appreciation and respect for this show. I know I gave it a lot of shit, but I mean, to kind of see where a lot of these things originated from, or like where this wacky, this zaniness that we got from Animaniacs, or anything kind of moving forward in the 90s, when we sort of had this like crazy cartoon, revolution during that period of time, or like late 80s, early 90s. And so I think it's kind of cool to see where all that came from. As a kid, I don't think I would have appreciated it as much as I do now as an adult, kind of watching and seeing a lot of that style and sort of the craziness that is within this episode. This episode is batshit fucking insane. Right. I mean, it's a mouse that we didn't even talk about it, who always looks like he's wearing male lipstick, like nonstop. Like,
why is it not just lipstick?
I don't know.
Why'd you have to say male lipstick?
Because if I would have said female lipstick, you would have said, well, why do females only have to wear lipstick?
Just call it lipstick, man.
Okay, he's wearing lipstick.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a mouse wearing lipstick, guys and gals.
Peeps.
Fact of the podcast. No, I do think that it should definitely be saved from the dip. Look, even if it's not your thing, the fact that it led to so many different animators and so many different shows and writers, producers, directors, and incredible careers that came out of it, you have to keep it in the cycle for that reason alone.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Concur.
So again, thanks to Mel for coming back on the show and joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Melanie.
Always. And now's that time of the show where you get to tell folks what you're up to out there in listener land.
You're welcome. What am I up to? So I think Sean may have teased this last time, but I am working on a show with Washington Improv Theater right now, which is called POTUS Among Us. And it's a show that happens every 4 years around election time, which analyzes the horrible, terrible process that we all subject ourselves to. And I've been brought in because it's gonna be audience integrated, and that's a little bit of my specialty. So I am co-directing it with Mark Chalfant, and Sean is going to be featured in the show along with a nice little collection of other amazing improvisers, some of which who have been on the show before. You will be able to see it in Washington, D.C. in October. I believe we open the 13th, the 14th, the 13th, one of those two. We'll have it up on the website with the links and all that good stuff. And then I'm also working on a project which I cannot reveal yet, but hopefully I'll be on again between now and the time that it goes up to give you a little bit more about that as well. I know, I'm having a lot of cool creative things happen. I'm really excited about it. So that's all me.
Very cool. What about your contact info? Where can people find you out there? You
can reach me on the Twitters and the IGs at Melanie Gwynne, GWYNNE.
Fantastic.
And that's all me.
All right, thanks. Sean, what about you, bud?
Hey guys, I'm going to be performing in Washington, D.C. for Washington Improv Theater for the show that Melanie mentioned, POTUS. You can find more info witdc.org. Also, Improv Festival that's coming up at the end of the year in November from the 9th to the 13th. And you can find more information about the District Improv Festival, districtimprov.org. And as always, you can find me on the Twitters and the IG at Sean Paul Ellis.
We will have all that information up on our website so you guys can check that out at your leisure. As for me, I'm going to be spending my birthday on a hobo train with some creepy clown mice. In the meantime, you can check me out over at collider.com, nerdist.com, and davetrumbore.com. If you're interested in finding out more about the show, you can do so at our aforementioned website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can find us on Twitter at MorningToons. Check out Sean's handiwork on our Instagram page, Saturday Morning Cartoons. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, where you guys have been fantastic with your likes, your votes, your subscriptions, your comments, everything like that. We really do appreciate it. It's fun keeping up with you guys. And if you do like the show, feel free to share it with your friends as well and recommend it to other people who might have the same kind of interests in mind. That's how we grow the community here. And we really do appreciate it, getting to talk to familiar faces and new faces the same. So we really do appreciate it. And you can listen to our podcast each and every week for free through iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you'd like to suggest an episode in the future or just drop us a line, you can do so SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. That's going to do it for Mighty Mouse Week. We've got a wacky week coming up next week. We've been talking about this one for a while. We're going to see kind of how it plays out, but we're trying to look for some like more international cartoons, something outside of our normal kind of purview here.
Oh wait, you mean Japanese Transformers weren't enough?
The fact that it was still kind of like at least dubbed and made for an American audience? No, we're going to go a little further than that. We're going to go way outside of our cultural reference points and find something.
This is going to be interesting.
So we'll see. We're going to tease that one for right now. But we've got some interesting stuff coming up the rest of the month too. But it's going to be kind of a wacky month here in September. So we appreciate you guys for joining us for the ride. And we appreciate Mel coming back once again to join us on the show. Thank you, Mel. And of course, to my co-host, Sean, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
This has been Saturday Morning Cartoons. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to transform and roll out.